It's about 1:15 on February 3rd, I guess it is, isn't it? Yeah. And I'm at the home of Jason Stratton on the West Batavia, the West Main Road of Batavia, and we're going to reminisce a few minutes. So,
now, where do you want me to start when I was a kid?
Anywhere you'd like to.
Well, I remember, well, I had that paper this morning.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
Okay.
And the train come in at 7:15 every morning.
Ah.
One from the east and one from the west.
Okay.
And then I go pick my papers up there, and the first one was George Funky at the crossing, and he run a farm supply store.
Oh, sure.
And him, and then when Chuck Hawley married Vyra,
Yeah.
they come over to Batavia and opened Funky and Hawley.
Okay.
And then my next stop was Snell's store on Cedar Street.
Okay.
It's in where that bar room is now.
Oh, yeah.
And then right next to him was Ackerman's Junkyard.
Okay.
Then I went up to the corner. There was Charlie Sherry's buggy shop.
Yeah.
Where he painted and decorated buggies. And then I went to my left and went to Peterson that run the Ford garage.
Yeah.
And Bob Mills that's in where the mortuary is now.
Okay.
Then I went up to Flaxie Dickinson's and dropped paper off of there. Come back down, went down through the alley to Bill Clark's blacksmith shop.
Yeah.
And then over to Ansell's. Then I went around the corner to the foundry. It's there run that. You probably all knew that. Yeah.
I heard of that, yeah.
Then the Union Hotel was the next one. That was Bitterman's.
Okay.
And at that time, I was, I think, 9 or 10 years old. At that time, old Ed Bitterman wouldn't let me come into that bar room with the paper. I had to put it in the doorway and walk away.
Ah.
And then, before I forget it, down at the end, what the heck, the street, way down the foot of Main Street there, where the power station used to be.
Oh. Buell Street?
No,
Right off of
Mechanics.
Mechanic, I think.
That's where the water supply for the village Akron, that's where they pumped the typhoid fever up into Akron.
Oh, sure.
And north of that, on the creek, by the railroad trestle down there, there was an apple dryer at one time.
Oh.
It was a big brick building, and the floor was all lattice work, kind of, where they peel the apples and put them in there, and down below they'd light sulfur on trays, because us kids used to, after they quit, we'd take a handful of sulfur and go down to the blue bottom and light it and drive all the bugs out, and then we'd go swimming.
Okay.
So right across the Union was, I don't remember what was the name of that hotel in the corner there.
Oh, you know, you got these stopped now.
No,
my memory isn't right.
They'll come back eventually. But then they used to take in a lot of boarders and everything. And then the next stop up was the livery station. Parker's livery station.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
You
all right.
remember that?
Yeah.
Then Doc Pratt had an office in front of that.
Okay.
And then
I remember that.
Then you went to the Old American. Old Pete Comrie run the place at that time.
Oh, did he? But
Yeah.
before Charlie Humphrey.
Oh yeah, before Charlie Humphrey. Yeah. And then on the other side of that was Flint's Dry Goods Store. And the other side of Flint's was Candy Kitchen.
Okay.
And the other side of the Candy Kitchen was the post office at one time.
Oh, all right.
Did you know that?
No, I don't think I did.
Well, that and the other half of that block was that. And now let's see. Zimmermans, I think, was next.
Mm-hmm.
No. Blount had a furniture store.
Jesse Blount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a furniture store in there. Then there's Zimmerman had a bakery and store in there.
Okay.
Next. And then, let's see. Altenberg was the one in the corner that I meant.
That's right. Altenberg. It went right around the corner.
Yeah, it went right around the corner up Dewey Street.
Yeah.
I know it get to me eventually. Let's see, after Zimmerman's, what the heck was that? Oh, Souls had dry goods. And,
Okay.
And then there was a little restaurant there. Kelsey Webster's mother and Ruth Weidler run it.
That's right. Yeah.
And then there was the barber shop the next one. Oh, anyway, there was a barber shop in there.
Yeah.
And then you went up, and then Flint's had another store up there, a big department store.
Okay.
That's where the plumber's store and all that is now.
Yeah.
And then there was the A&P, Bill King had a ice cream parlor in there. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, he had an ice cream parlor in there, and then A&P come in after Bill. And, of course, that's the Bell opened the meat market.
Okay.
And up overhead was the room for the fire department. The Liberty Hose Company, they had a couple of pool tables.
Oh, did they?
And then finally, young Ed Bitterman run a speakeasy up there.
Oh.
And then right across the road was ID store.
Yeah.
And Hoy run the store for him.
Yeah.
And then there was Gene Haven's barber shop.
Yeah.
And then there was Bob Mills' jewelry store.
Mm-hmm.
And after the jewelry store left, Larkin come in. They had a store in there. And then there's R.E. Robinson.
All right.
And up overhead was the Chamber of Commerce. And they had a billiard table in there because my dad used to let us go up there. And we'd play billiards all afternoon.
Okay.
And let's see. R.E. Robinson. A lot of fog in there. Jake Herr on a clothing store.
That's right, yeah.
And then Ed Buckley run a shoe store and sit down.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Do you know what they say about people that can remember way back?
Yeah, I can't remember my name though.
Can't remember yesterday?
Yeah. Well,
Oh boy.
terrible.
Yeah. Lose your faculties?
Ed Buckley, and then eventually Bob Bell came in there when he graduated from dental school. He had a dentist up overhead. And then, let's see, who was that? Oh, Leo. Oh, do you remember anybody ever tell you about the grist mill we had up there on Main Street? Graves ran it.
No, I don't.
You know where Leo George was?
Yeah.
That whole building was a grist mill. They'd bring their grain in, he'd grind it, or make flour, whatever he wanted.
I never knew that.
Oh, yes, that was there for years, because I used to, when I left the paper, I'd get a handful of sunflower seeds. He always had a bag of sunflower seeds.
You remember all the details? Oh, goodness.
Oh, sure, because you'd go out there, you'd hear that thing running, you'd run out there and see all the belts. That's when they didn't have a motor on every machine. There was a line drive deal.
Oh, sure.
And then, there was a mortuary in one half at Sherwood store.
Mm-hmm.
That was, it wound up with, what's his name over the, Fay Graves.
Oh, yeah.
He ran a mortuary and oh, God, there was another one down there. I forgot about him. Carl Gifford run that mortuary.
Oh, sure.
Egan was down there on Main Street with a store.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many mortuaries did they have over there?
They just had the two at that time.
Yeah.
And then, now my last paper, Ed Sherwood. If I was a little bit late, wham! Had to be rough. Yardstick. You get to school, wham!
Oh boy. What year are you talking about now with all these?
Well, let's see, around
paperwork?
19, anywhere from 19, let's see, 1917. I can remember when they had the Liberty Bond drive,
Yeah.
and us kids knew that they were going to bring this Ford tank in down to the railroad station down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can still hear that damn thing rattling up Clinton Street, right up to the park.
Oh boy.
And that was a big deal then, you know.
Yeah.
1715, you had a $25 bond.
Wow.
And then going down the other side of the street, and then I'll tell you how they made Million Street when I get the buildings on.
Okay.
There was Dell Cummings had the theater there.
Oh yeah.
And that's where they used to, the school before they had a gymnasium, that's where they used to play basketball and all that. And in front of that was Burgo and Notting's store.
Okay.
And then Thea Stapleton built the Oasis. Because I know that, because I laughed that whole damn building when I was a kid.
Oh.
Art and Theodore.
Yeah.
And then there was Mark Bates's Meat Market.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then, no, I forgot, I think there was a house in where the day-night restaurant was. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Then where I don't know what the hell's in there now, but Bob King run a movie theater. You remember that one?
No.
That was the first one.
But that building is called the King Block.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And then the post office moved in up there. And then there was a bowling alley in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, Jim Shadd had a funeral. Oh, he had a paint store and all that in there.
Oh, Jim Shadd.
Yeah.
In the same building where the post office was?
Yep. He was in there. And then the other side of that, Peterson's built a Ford place.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, well, there was a Sam Bucherri's barber shop. But before Sam was there, on that corner building, there was a newspaper published there, Murphy.
Murphy.
Yeah.
I remember Jack Murphy was a big kid when I was a little kid.
And he published a paper there, and then eventually he moved way down in the corner across from Mark Brothers Garage down in there.
Okay.
They moved down in there. But after that, we come to Ellicott Square. I'll show you a picture of that.
Okay.
Across the street, that's where the Bank of Akron is now.
Oh, okay.
And then there was, of course, the beer joint. And then there was the Bank of Akron. And the telephone office was upstairs over the Bank of Akron. And then Kriego, I think, built the bowling alleys in down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chuck Flint had next to the bowling alley there, had a old wooden garage. He finally made enough money and he tore the darn thing down, put that building that's on the corner there.
Yeah.
And then you know the rest of it. It's the Martin Brothers, Art.
Yeah. Across Buffalo Street.
Yeah. They run that garage there and machine shop. Evie Bell worked for him. Then the last one on there was George Wilder's Buick garage.
I don't remember that.
You know? Yeah, because that.
I was born in 21.
You're in 1908.
Yeah. I was wondering how old he was.
Well, yeah, really.
What do you think? Remember all that stuff?
But you remember those things.
Sure.
And then, now, they up at the head of John Street was where they had the stone crusher. You see where that quarry is up there?
Yeah.
It was all run by steam.
Oh, yeah.
And Gene Forrestal was dig out Main Street, And John Stroh had, I think, 5 horse-drawn dump carts. They cut the main pole off and put them all together. Come down through there with 5 of those hooked back with an old steam engine. I was just a kid.
Oh, really?
And they dug that out and started right. He turned up there by Charlie Howard's store.
Yeah.
And started right at the top by the Catholic Church there, and right down Main Street they went. They were all rock in there about that big.
Oh, man.
And it was quite a thing. And I was just a little kid, and we lived up on the corner then, and God, that fascinated me. So I followed it up to the crusher one day.
Yeah. Turn it over.
Did you get
Long-winded, huh?
No, it's a short tape. I should have brought another one.
Did you get the profanity in there along with?
Oh, everything.
Everything
Yeah,
goes.
we'll get it all.
We'll get it. Don't worry about it. You shit, you can't come out full.
Oh, God.
You know, up there, I went up there, and all I can remember is this damn big steam-driven engine
Yeah.
with about an 8-foot flywheel running that whole darn crusher.
Oh, yeah?
And see, there used to be from the West Shore, there was a rail line come up past the old button factory,
Yeah.
up around the head of me. It went way up to near to East Avenue,
Yeah.
and they fly their cars up in there, and they load them and back them down. And that was to me, that was really something, you know.
Yeah.
And now when we get to the first plasterboard that was built in Akron, you know where the button factory is now?
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing they'd ever made there was plasterboard.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. They made big long tables.
Oh,
As a
didn't
kid,
know
I was
that.
nosy as hell. I seen everything going on. And then I can remember the night the old button factory burned.
Ah.
We'd moved down on Marshall Street then,
Yeah.
and I wanted to go down. That old whistle was blowing like crazy down there, you know, off Sweet Ice Cream. And
Yeah.
the back of that German church there, it was so bright you could count the nails.
Mm.
Ma wouldn't let us kids go down.
Mm.
Of course, Paul Howard wasn't even born, I don't think, then.
Where was the old German? You mean the German Methodist?
Yeah, right there in John Street, across from the Masonic Temple.
Yeah. Okay.
That cemetery there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they they always kept that thing nice.
Yeah.
And then down the foot of Marshall Street, we'll go up across the tracks, and over there was a cheese box factory.
Oh.
Because that's another place I wasn't supposed to go that I did. Because they had a big vat over in there.
Yeah.
They put these logs in and steam them, cook them, and then they'd go ahead and they could handle, made the wood, I suppose, as elm, and
Yeah.
they made it so they could roll their boxes and everything. That was there. That didn't stay too long.
Yeah.
And did you know that there was a silk farm in Akron at one time?
No, a silk farm? Never knew that.
Yes, sir. George Weidler. That was one of his wild ideas.
Oh, really?
You know, the Grand Club. It was just kitty corner from the Grand Club. Because Skinny Weidler and I, he had some jack come in there and start raising, but we couldn't get enough mulberry leaves or something happened anyways. But Skinny and I got a bunch of cocoons and we made a reel. We used to unreel it there. God silk got it.
I'll be darned.
It was quite a deal.
Yeah.
And let's see what else I should tell you.
Where did you go to school? What's now? It used to be the Masonic Temple.
That was the high school. The grammar school had a great big brick building.
Yeah.
And that was right in the corner where the town hall is.
Okay.
And then, of course, my dad was secretary of the Board of Education, and they had an awful fight to get that new building. They spent I think it was about $250,000 for that building at that time, and that was, of course, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I went 1 year up in there. Just before I dropped out after I got typhoid fever, and they put me a year behind, so as I was 16, I went to work.
Yeah.
And but I'd go up and take night courses, so I took night courses, things like that. things that I wanted. I didn't
Sure.
want. I didn't even damn about algebra or English.
Yeah.
Other things. I took drafting and all
Uh-huh.
that stuff. But it was a good place, but they screwed up on the boilers.
Oh, really?
They had quite a time with them.
You mean the school?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah?
First year or so, they.
What? What's your dad's name? What was your dad's
Ed.
first? Ed Stratton.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that way he run the agency for stage. They had the American Express. Everything that come into Akron come through that little old shack.
In Elegant Square.
Elegant
Right in the
Square.
corner there, yeah.
Right in the corner. They had a hot dog stand on the outside. I got a picture. I'll show you.
Okay.
And then during World War One, that's when Wheat's ice cream. All they made down there was this condensed milk, sugar. We never was short of sugar or damn thing. That. And all that surplus that they didn't use went underground and way off into a swamp the other side of the track there.
Mm.
They had a 12-inch tile going down through there. All the surplus from the plant went right down through there.
Mm.
Boy, in the summertime, we get pretty ripe over it.
I'll bet.
Us kids used to go down the swamp there to cut Christmas trees and stuff. We'd go down there, well, we'd get a couple of good long ones and then a bunch of short ones and carry them like on a stretcher. We had a big time. Well, of course, we did. The kids did more then than they do now.
Yeah.
They don't sit home pressing buttons anymore.
Mm-hmm.
These kids think I'm crazy. I says, man, I tell you, I went to work at Hamburg Cannon. You know that was there, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I went for Floyd up there when I was 13 years old. We'd go in and Floyd say, "How old are you? 16?" Yeah, we'd go to work.
Oh, man.
And oh, God. I worked a couple of years up there, just during the peace season.
Yeah.
And of course, old Floyd, he was quite an old whoremaster when he got right down to it. And Joe Shanley, do you remember Joe Shanley?
Yeah, vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. I worked in the warehouse out there. Joe was giving me a hard time because he was above me then. He was a little bit above me. So I caught Floyd and Reno girl going at it. Oh, they didn't want me to say a word. I said, Floyd said, "What can I do for you?" I said, "You fired Joe Shanley, put me boss of the warehouse, now I'll keep my mouth shut." Bang! I got raised from 13 cents an hour to 15.
Oh, man.
But then after I after typhoid fever thing got through with, I went to work for Hawthorne up in the crusher up there.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good place. Of course, these kids today don't realize it. We worked 66 hours a week. I worked for when I started. There was 66 hours a week. $21 of my paycheck, all in cash. The kids, they don't think anything of that.
They don't even have any idea what it was like.
No. How many of them can hold their hands up and say, "Well, look at the calluses"?
Yeah.
The whole damn thing. And I remember when I.D. Eckerson put the plumbing in the old brick schoolhouse. Whitey was there. You remember Whitey? I don't know whether he was younger than Ransom, I think.
Oh, Harold.
Yeah, they called him Whitey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember him yet. He was working on one of those piece of tile, He said, "Son of a bitch," he said, "God damn it." And the kids were standing there. He said, "Don't you go home and say to your mother what we did." But I said, I can still remember. I'll tell you, that old school, it was run. Baldy Madison was a principal. Because I can remember we had history class, and it was the last period in the afternoon. It was his class. We were supposed to get out of there at 3:30. He never opened a book in class, but he started a big fat argument. because he knew damn well you'd go out and look it up then. And lots of times we would be in there arguing until after 4, and here I was janitor in the school at that time. And I've never heard the most embarrassed I ever was in my life, I think. But of course, we met this young men club, went to camp every year. Baldy went with us. I know we come home from camp and got into history class, got in an argument. I said, well, hell, Baldy, you know you're wrong. Oh, man. Right under the table, I could have went. That was the last of that.
Wow.
But it was, but they talk about these psychologists and all these damn things they got today. There was more psychology taught with a ruler and a piece of rubber hose than any damn woman ever said anything about. They had discipline. Now look at this school. We had a fellow here in Batavia get my hair cut. And Ethel, you were there that way, weren't you? And,
I don't know.
He was a teacher over in Notre Dame High School over here. And he was walking up and down the aisle. He stopped by this girl looking over her shoulder there. She says, you touch me, I'm going to have you arrested. He says, I didn't touch her, but she spent 2 years in that grade. He says, when it come time to pass, she missed. He says, if my father said that to a kid when I was going to school, they got their mouth slapped or else washed out with ivory soap. You remember Frankie Weidler, don't you?
Just vaguely, yeah.
She washed my mouth. My sister, my mouth with soap.
Oh, yeah.
For calling her Frankie Weidler. But that was, when you look back at some of this crazy things, took pockets and and she had one of these old pump organs where you like that. She'd catch some kid during the morning doing something wrong. She wasn't going to stand there pump it. You got down their ass knees like this. I've been pumped that thing quite a few times. And if you went out of wind, she'd haul off and give you a kick in the butt.
Oh,
Wow.
Took pockets
wow.
on.
You're a teacher, aren't you?
I was, yeah, for years. Then I was an assistant high school principal.
Yeah.
I was in charge of discipline.
Did you use it good?
I think I did, yeah. Yeah.
I still say that's where we lost control of our school the minute they took the discipline away from the teachers.
Yeah. Counting the time I spent from kindergarten to 12th grade, and the time I worked, I spent 56 years in that school building.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's a long time, isn't it?
Half a century.
Yeah.
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 But it was good.
That was one thing during the last war. I thought, oh, they were hollering. I was working in Louisville at that time, and they were hollering about the help they needed and everything. I said, well, what the hell can a hay kicker like me do? So I went. Lyle Bruce and I went up to Curtis and got a job. And we first went to the plant where they assembled or reassembled parts.
Mm-hmm.
The twin coach.
Mm-hmm.
Plant. Well, they teamed me up with another guy, Doc Mertz. And we were supposed to cut the bottom out of these air cobras and put the oblique cameras in them. We were supposed to take one a night. So the first night we did it, we just had the plant sitting there, of course. I said to Doc, I said, hell, ain't much to this, is there? Got our 10 snips out, and we cut that bottom out of that plane, put the thing in, put the bottom back in. It was all done in about an hour and a half, you know. And, gee, they didn't like that. Next night, there was 3 planes sitting there for us when we come in. We did all 3 of them before 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wanted to go to experimental aircraft. Christ, any damn fool could have done what we were doing, you know. And so I said, if I got it, I asked to go and be transferred over there.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't do it. So I said, okay, that's your funeral. I'm through. I sat in a toolbox out in the middle of the floor and we sat there. they got personnel and everybody else down there. We told them we were either going to quit or get transferred. We both got what we wanted. And that experimental, I was very fortunate. I worked the third shift, and we had a Freddie Geraldine. He graduated from the submarine school in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, he knew metal, and he knew everything. It was just like going to school, putting there every night. If they had any tough ones, why, our crew, there's 5 in our crew, we got anything that nobody else wanted to do or couldn't do, we did it.
Yeah.
It was just, you felt like going to work. You know, when you got a job where you feel like going to work, you know you're on the right path.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Mm.
Yeah. Gee, when you stop to think back, my God, when we moved out here, we went to Ryan DeWitt's. Hell, I'd never put an oil burner in my life. I'd put a couple furnaces in the house around Akron, you know. First one I got was a church with a boiler. The boiler fire was that was duck soup. And they had these 2 guys that they'd hired. How are you going to get in the bottom of it? I said, well, gotta get in there and build